Yes, my fair lady, it has been a very, very big challenge coming on this evening. But fear not, for I am with thee always, ever present, ever gleaming, ever beautiful. I want to welcome all the wizards and wizards to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We are broadcasting live from the nation's capital. I am your host. I am my own sycophant, so don't believe that you must be a fan. Be a friend and come into the SHR Media Live Center, from which we conversate one to another through the amazing World Wide Web created by Al Gore. Didst thou have to slay dragons on your way, or was thine shoe untied? Heavens to Betsy, it was the latter rather than the first. But I beg thee patience with me this eve, for we will slay the great dragon of tax reward for illegal residency. I'm just feeling a little off. This is Sackheads Radio Night, as always, Wednesday night. Big show tonight. Listen, we got Shannon, Wright, in the fourth quarter of our program. She's going to be coming on. She's going to be talking about some of the urban matters. Baltimore City, Charm City that it is. We released the Kraken at 10 o'clock tonight. Yes. Ralph Chittams joins us, and we will be talking about Jim Crow. Hillary style Jim Crow. And of course, in this first hour, I shall regale the greatness with limp and great symbols. How you can get lots of money from the federal government and not be a citizen. Yes, my ladies and my lords, being an illegal alien has been a cash cow for many. And while those that anguish on the left might say, well, they do pay taxes, getting food from Taco Bell is not what I consider paying taxes. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then to the socialists. I know Dave Miller loves Shannon's voice. Yes, he does. And Dave Miller's in our chat roll this evening. He is the unpleasant blind guy, better known as Ag in our chat roll. He is joined by the more fortuitous. Fortuitous. Let's go with that one. My lady in wait, Mary Brockman, who sits upon her great dwelling and listens to our program in the Kingdom of Ohio. Mary Brockman. She is my bouncer. If thine do swear to choose to defame her in any light, ye shall pay the heavy cost of being cast out. I swear thee. Mary be most fair in our company. Yes, she is. I think I wanted to always do a Shakespearean play. I think I would have done well. Mrs. Biggs is watching in the ham. She is in the great, lovely balcony, overlooking us via live stream or you stream whichever stream flows beneath her beautiful moonlit balcony. There's so much that's going on tonight, and I really want to force you treasure from the chest of the king. Now, you all just, it took a lot, and you all are getting a different view of me tonight via Ustream that you normally would get, and that's because I had to go through several browsers. Apparently, there is a shockwave flash player problem, and so that had to be dealt with a few moments before the show began. Actually, we went beyond that. And so, for those who are picking us up, I do simply apologize to the networks, um, the SHR media, because it's a Sackheads Radio Night, and we just want things to be absolutely perfect for Sackheads Radio Night. Rebooting Liberty, where I am, wherever I am, whether it's in the morning or afternoon or night that you hear me. Thank God that you're listening. I thank you, I thank ye for listening, and also Rebooting Liberty. So, High Plains Radio, talk. That's Dan Butcher's network, and I was on Dan's show on Sunday, and it happened to be his 6th anniversary. And more importantly, I was a guest. No, actually, it was the most listened to show all time that he had. So, uh, yes, my lord, a shockwave flash player problem, Volta. When is there not a shockwave flash player problem, my good sir? 'Tis noble to remind thee of the triflings of such great software. It's okay. Good for you. Good for you. I'm glad it's working for you. If you ever did it to me twice, yes, Mary. Mary understands my pains and my suffering. Stream keeps buffering. Yeah, it's a shockwave thing. So this is what I did. I want to let everyone know what I did to overcome that, and if you choose to do it, Godspeed. If you choose not to, that's okay as well. But my lords and my ladies, I use Flash Peak browser. There you go. Put that in there for you. Flash Peak browser. And I did not plan on doing this, and you all know how we start off shows. But I'm already behind the 8 ball already. You know, Flash Peak, Slim Jet. Okay. This is the software, the browserware that I use to do tonight's show, and I think I'm going to go there now on. I remember talking when I was in the founder and creator of FlashPeak. I had a great conversation with him once over the phone. I tried to get him on my show. He wouldn't come on, but I always thought his software was just the bomb to the diggity. No really fancy stuff to it. It's just nuts and bolts browser. Flashpeak wizardry. Tis an inception, nonetheless. Has been around for quite a foundry. However, 'tis a great jester, my friend, if you would perchance partake thereof, of the great wizardry of Flashpeak. You might find it satisfactory of the miscreants that befell the rudimentary Google and Chrome and Slim browser. Well, what's the Slim browser? There I go. Pale Moon. Pale Moon. So yeah, I went through all those. Very glad that you're here tonight. You know how we always start off the show. We find our right hand. We put it over our heart. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. But most importantly, is this working tonight? Okay, all right. It says it's working. All right, so we will go with that. They say they're working. They're working. There we go. Okay. We will pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Say your parents. Ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, Love it, absolutely love it every time they come on the air and every time they do that. You're listening tonight to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. Much to do, much to say tonight. But I need a bookmark. Good, Mary. Bookmarked it. I'm afraid to download it now. Don't worry, you can download it. This is why I love Flash Peak. It doesn't interfere with anything else that's going on that you're working on. That's why I was able to do what I did with the Chroma. Flash Peak is a wonderful, wonderful browser. I use Chrome because it works faster. Sometimes doing the variant broadcasting stuff that I do. But when there are shockwave issues, I want to go to something that I have a steadiness with, something that I can count on as foundational. I normally switch down to Pale Moon or switch over, in this particular case, depending on the computer that you have as well. Okay. On my Dell, I have the Flash Peak, and on the HP, I have Pale Moon. So they're working pretty well. Half of it's already loaded. Exactly. Exactly. Does it work with or against Firefox? It works with Firefox. So there shouldn't be a problem with downloading the information from Firefox onto it. Flash. Oops. There's so much. Hey, when you're on a conservative talk show, people want to paint you into a corner. And amazingly, I read a quote from someone on Facebook today, chastising my good friend Henderson Long for hanging out with them people. He went to the Trailblazers event with us. Raynard Jackson put on a great Trailblazers awards luncheon. Bob Woodson, Fred McClure, Jimmy Jones, Allegra McCullum, Ambassador Doley, Harold Doley Jr., Lieutenant Colonel, Lieutenant Governor from Florida, Jennifer Carroll. Yeah, how could you forget her? So, they refer to me and my ilk as them folk, them people, those people. I was like, oh, okay. So, not only am I a brand new human race, but I'm also them people. Racism is alive and well in the Democrat Party. It really is. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on with the great Ralph Chittams. I know Mary. Mary says she doesn't want to use Google. I understand. I really do. Google is very, very good at times. And on nights like this, when there are major storms, sometimes it can be challenging. So, and it also depends on the software, the computer, or whatever. But I think we have it up, and I think I'll be using the Flash Peak more often for Ustream, because there wasn't a problem with Flash Peak and Ustream coming up just like that. It was like caught on and bam. It was wonderful. I also want to retire my Logitech. I know this has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about. But my camera, I believe is dying, if not dead. So I think it has retired, and as such, that cruel fate of having to actually be on the air all the time, I think it birthed its last breath last night, and I won't be able to use it anymore. So I have to go get a different camera now. Well, it's just time. It's been 2 years, 3 years, in fact, the camera. So I wasn't using it as much in the beginning, but now I'm using it every single night, almost 7 days a week. And so, what can you say? It's dead. And so, as a result of it dying, we just got to salute it and let it go. And so, I will be checking out a new camera tomorrow before I start my program. And for all those who went to Flash Peak, please send a note to the founder of Flash Peak. He's on the Facebook. In fact, this is so cheesy. I have not spoken with him in like 2 years. Uh, and he's such a great, he is really, you would think a guy like this who has this kind of software, you wouldn't be able to talk to him. But my God, he is such a great, great man. He really is. And let me get his Facebook. Flash Peak here. Okay, I have to come up with the software. I have to find out where he is and put that on. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow night. But oh my God, he is just the most kind and gentle human being. And I am just gracious to have had an opportunity to have spoken with him. Just a wonderful human being. Now, I once wrote an ode to an old air conditioner I had to replace. Dave Miller says, Ken, man of God that you are, I know you'll give it a blessed send-off. I most certainly will. But before we go to our first commercial for tonight, and I have really blown this particular show because I've been talking about web and internet, and these are the geeky things I like. I'm sorry, I like these things, and you have to be a little bit. I'm not going to sit here all night long and talk about Donald Trump. I'm just not going to do it. So you have to, if this is not your cup of tea for conservative talk, listen, you can probably turn someplace else when someone's throwing off a rant of some type against Donald Trump or Rubio or Cruz or whatever. But come on now, that's. And for those of you who still pray for Ben, I pray for Ben too. I pray Ben goes home. Go ahead, rest, relax, go back to golfing. And I know Mary, I love you, Mary, and I love Dr. Ben Carson, but just saying. And please vote, even if Ben Carson doesn't win. Please, America. Vote for the most conservative congressman or senator that you can send to Washington, D.C., so that, quite frankly, you can hold a president accountable. Because people are treating the presidential campaign, as if it is the race for the kingship of America. You're not a king. You are a president. You're subservient to the Congress and the Senate. At least that's the way it's supposed to be in the checks and balance system, and the Congress and Senate is subservient to we the people, and at one time the state. So once we eliminate the 17th Amendment, we may be able to get something truly done in our culture. But when we come back from our break, we're going to talk about illegal aliens being able to get tax refunds. We'll be back.
I like big butts in a can. Time for an unpleasant blind guy. Conservative, but news consumers don't have a lot of time, so picking the right news outlet is always important. The issues that these outlets cover can help people make the right choices on where to get their news. One issue is highlighted in a story posted on January the 19th by Damon Bears, tech editor for the Huffington Post, with the headline, Video Games Might Have a Butt Problem. Games often emphasize the rumps of female characters, while male characters have their posteriors hidden. That's according to a new video published on YouTube on Tuesday by Anita Sarkeesian's Feminist Frequency channel, which has been a major source of controversy for some people, rallying under the Gamergate banner. The latest video spotlights marketing materials and gameplay footage from several video games to illustrate how female characters are often sexualized. This by Ms. Sarkeesian and the Huffington Post is considered to be an issue that you should pay attention to. along with other such issues as income inequality and global warming. Other outlets, such as the Exceptional Conservative Show, hosted by Ken McClinton, prefer to focus on stories affecting real people, such as that posted on February the 9th by Jackie Benson of WRC-TV Channel 4, Washington, D.C.
DC Fire and EMS has had so many medical directors over the last decade that the resignation of Dr. Gillette Saucy might not have even made the news, except for her resignation letter.
I took an oath a really long time ago, and I take it incredibly seriously.
The 4-page resignation letter that marks the end of Dr. Gillette Saucy's 7 months as medical director of DC Fire and Emergency Medical Services is brutally frank. In it, she cites a near-complete lack of departmental cooperation with her mandate from Mayor Muriel Bowser to reform and raise the quality of the district's ambulance service, specifically training.
Being unable to assess where we were from a baseline that I could guide the training appropriately was a red flag.
In our conversation tonight, she referenced the 2006 death of David Rosenbaum and the 2014 death of Medrick Cecil Mills. Each man's death was the subject of an extensive investigation into improper care by first responders. Each time, city officials promised change. Dr. Saucy's resignation letter added another name to that list, a reference, one she clearly agonized over, to what she called the survivable injury of a 35-year-old man who died after being stabbed Wednesday morning. She wrote, "It took more than 18 minutes for a transport ambulance to arrive," adding, "We failed this young man, and it did not make the news."
Just like Mr. Mills and any other names that we could talk about, Mr. Rosenbaum, they deserve to know that their lives are not lost in vain.
I spoke tonight to Ed Smith. He is with the union that represents rank and file DC Fire and EMS members, and he told me that the union did offer a number of alternatives to Dr. Saucy's plan for a comprehensive, very comprehensive assessment of training and procedures.
Jackie Benson, thank you. We also just heard from Mayor Bowser's office about this. The spokesman says, quote, "The mayor is committed to reforming fire and EMS and has put in place a fire chief and supporting team to do just that." He went on to say, "We are committed to improving patient outcomes and delivering the change that residents expect and deserve."
And as those who have listened to the Unpleasant Blind Guy or the Exceptional Conservative Show understand, for the past 2 years, this commitment has only taken the form of words. You have the choice where to get your news. From outlets that highlight trivial and made-up issues, or outlets committed to holding government responsible for its actions. For your own sake, choose wisely. This has been an Unpleasant Blind Guy, conservative, but...
Thank you, sir.
I'm a good person. I never bothered anybody. But I can't afford a nice house in a safe neighborhood. I live in a government high-rise. Gangbangers and drug dealers walk down our halls every day. My neighbors and I were scared. We called the police. But they can't keep us safe. Some of us are too afraid to even leave our apartments. But the housing authority told me if I bought a gun to protect myself, they'd throw me to the streets. If I'm not free because of my address today, what makes you think you'll be free tomorrow? I marched behind Martin Luther King at Selma. I know my rights. Now I have my gun. I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Welcome back to the most influential urban conservative talk show in America. Scratch that. In the world. The Exceptional Conservative Show coming to you live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. to you and me. Coming up at the 10 o'clock hour, we release the Kraken, Ralph Chittams. You can join him right now in the chat roll on Sackheads Radio Night. Yes, Wednesday night, Sackheads Radio goes live at 11 p.m. Pacific time. Eastern time. 7 p.m. Pacific. There you go. There you go. The drums are calling me. And at 10:30, Pastor Shannon Wright, who's running for Baltimore City Council President, will be joining us. So much ado about much. Ladies and gentlemen, illegal aliens have the right to your treasury. I mean, literally, it's kind of, the concept of this is, I come across the border, I'm not supposed to be here, I get a job, I work, and I'm due, because they take taxes out of my pay, I am due a refund. Simple enough. But the concept of illegal alien is one that should really concern us most about the whole concept of getting a job here, working here, when you're not supposed to be here. And knowing that there are 96 million Americans who are out of the job force right now. And I know we want to play compassionate conservative. What are you going to do? As Rubio would say, round them all up and take them out of the country? Anybody ever ask who's saying to do that? Because actually, if it were up to me, I would do it, but it's not up to me, so I know that that's not the way it's done. I want to take you back away, because this has been a problem for a while. And we kept hearing year after year, whether it was Paul Ryan or someone else, we're going to fix this loophole. Let's start back in 2012.
13 investigators discovered that millions of illegal immigrants are getting bigger tax refunds than you are.
And it's all because of a massive tax loophole that costs billions, and you're paying for it. Our investigative reporter Bob Siegel has spent the past 3 months uncovering this problem right here in Indiana. He tells us tonight how the IRS is simply handing out your tax dollars to people who don't even live here.
We are not showing his face, and he does not want you to know his name. But this longtime tax consultant does want you to know what he's discovered.
There's not a doubt in my mind. There's huge fraud taking place here.
He came to 13 Investigates to blow the whistle on a nationwide problem with a huge price tag.
We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar fraud scheme here that's taking place.
The scheme involves illegal immigrants who are filing tax returns. You see, everyone who earns money in the U.S. is required to pay taxes. The IRS says it's even required for those who are working here illegally. Of course, undocumented workers aren't supposed to have a Social Security number. So for them to pay taxes, the IRS created what's called an ITIN. It's an individual taxpayer identification number. While that may have seemed like a good idea, it's now backfiring in a big way.
I think the public needs to know about this.
This tax preparer says his office has been flooded by illegal workers who have figured out a loophole. It allows them to use their ITIN numbers to get huge refunds from the IRS. The loophole is called the Additional Child Tax Credit. It's meant to help working families who have children living at home, but 13 Investigates has found many undocumented workers claiming the tax credit for kids who live in Mexico. And we're talking lots of kids.
We've seen
I hope you caught what I just caught. Okay? I hope you caught. Let me just play it slowly for you. Okay? And then I apologize for as a citizen journalist, I want you to get the news.
13 Investigates has found many undocumented workers claiming the tax credit for kids who live in Mexico. And we're talking lots of kids.
We've seen 10, 12 dependents, most times nieces and nephews, all these tax returns. The more you put on there, the more you get back.
Our whistleblower says he has thousands of examples. He showed us some of them.
after crossing out all identifying information on the tax returns.
For $11,000 each on this tax return, we're claiming 7 nieces and nephews. Here's a return right here, we got a $10,300 refund. 9 nieces and nephews. I can bring out stacks and stacks. It's just so easy, it's ridiculous.
This undocumented worker says it is easy. Mucho dinero. See? He agreed to talk with me and a translator as long as we didn't reveal his identity. He admitted his address is being used to file tax returns by 4 other undocumented workers who don't even live here. What's more, those 4 workers claim 20 children live inside this one trailer home in southern Indiana. And as a result, the IRS sent the illegal immigrants tax refunds totaling $29,608. But we saw only one little girl who lives here. What about the 20 kids claimed as tax deductions? Hay 20 niños viviendo aquí. Have those children ever lived here? No.
Never. They've never lived here.
There's some people who say that they shouldn't be getting that money for children who don't live in the United States.
If the opportunity is there and they can give it to him, why not take advantage of it?
Okay, I am not very good at speaking Spanish, but let me give you the Donald Trump translation. If you are stupid enough to pay it, gosh darn it, I'm willing to receive it.
Workers in Indiana told me the same thing. Their families are also collecting tax refunds for children who do not live in this country. Have the children in Mexico ever lived here with you? All of those children are in Mexico?
Yeah.
While this may come as a surprise to you, the tax preparer says it should be no surprise to the government.
The IRS has to know what's going on here.
The IRS does know what's going on. 13 Investigates has proof. The agency has known about this problem for years, and officials here at IRS headquarters have done absolutely nothing to stop it.
The magnitude of the problem has grown exponentially.
Russell George is the U.S. Treasury Department's Inspector General for Tax Administration. His agency has repeatedly warned the IRS additional child tax credits are being abused by undocumented workers. These Inspector General audit reports show over the past decade the abuse has skyrocketed, now costing American taxpayers more than $4 billion.
Keep in mind, we're talking about $4 billion per year. It's very troubling.
He says even more troubling, the IRS has not taken action despite report after report from the Inspector General.
We have made recommendations to them as to how they could address this, and they have not taken sufficient action, in our view, to solve the problem.
What does the IRS have to say about all this? Well, I called and emailed for weeks, and I even went straight to IRS headquarters in Washington to get answers. But the agency said none of its 100,000 employees had time to meet with me for an interview. Apparently, the IRS doesn't have time to respond to some tax preparers either. Last year, a whistleblower noticed dozens of undocumented workers had used phony documents and false income to claim tax credits. He reported all of it to the IRS.
These were fraudulent, 100% fraudulent tax returns.
And you told the IRS that?
Yes.
Any response from the IRS?
Absolutely not. We never heard of that.
The IRS knows about this and they're letting it happen?
Absolutely.
Is it okay to leave the system as is?
No, it is not. $4 billion a year. Once the money goes out the door, it's near impossible.
Okay, I'm sorry. Because it's my show, I can do this. Let me type in that number for the people in my chat roll. Do 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 $4 billion. $4 billion with a B is coming out of your pocket and my pocket, and I'm the uncompassionate one. I'm the evildoer. I'm the one who's...
Well, for the IRS to get it back.
There's one more number I want you to think about. 2 million. That is the number of undocumented workers right now who are getting tax refunds because of this loophole. The IRS claims it can't do a thing about it unless it gets permission from Congress. Tomorrow night, I'll show you how lawmakers are reacting to our investigation, what they plan to do about it, and what you can do about that part of our story tomorrow night at 11.
Ladies and gentlemen, this election is not about Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, or Ricky Rubio. I'm sorry, Rubio. It's not about any one of those three. It's really about you and your Treasury. The redistribution of your wealth. The Marxists have won. They needed an Internal Revenue Service. They got it. And they are redistributing the wealth of America out of the country. You're talking about manufacturing jobs leaving the country. I'm talking about money being pulled directly out of your wallet and being sent back to Mexico. So that was back in 2012. And I know the IRS knows about this, and I know they've been working on this. I know they've been trying to fix it. This is 2015.
Well, attention, American taxpayer, that refund check's in the mail, even if you're not American taxpayers at all. Turns out the IRS is now giving illegals a break with tax refunds on money they earn, but as illegals. They weren't supposed to be here. Now, it's all part of the president's plan to give them a free pass, and Jessica Vaughn is just about ready to pass out. The idea is that they paid their dues, and now they're due this money back. You say what?
Well, they were working here illegally for all these years, which, I know some people who would call that an ill-gotten gain that the government should be seizing, not allowing them to get credit for.
Details, Jessica.
But they're basically saying in anticipation of the president's executive action where as many as 5 million people may be newly authorized to work, that they can go back and file tax returns that will enable them to get the earned income tax credit, which is potentially worth up to about $3,000 per family, even though they didn't qualify for it before, even though they were working illegally before.
Now,
but something tells me they're not going to go back and make them pay any taxes they owe. They just want to do this for the refund.
You just read my next question. I guess another thing I'm asking is, they didn't file any other taxes prior, right? They did. So how do they know? And how does the government, and can the government be sure that they're due this money?
They can't really be sure because they're saying that you can only get this if you filed tax returns before under a different number. The idea is that...
In other words, if you use these individual tax numbers or ITNs, I guess, right?
Right. And that, because if you used an ITIN, you're not eligible for the earned income tax credit, but now suddenly you are.
I just want to... And you're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. This is Tax Week, talking about taxes. If you listen this week, you're wealthier today than you were at the beginning of the week. I'm telling you right now. But I'm listening to Jessica Vaughn from the Center of Immigration Studies, CIS, and she just quoted the fact that there are 2 million people illegally here eligible to receive up to $3,000 a piece for child tax credit and other tax credits and other refunds that are backloaded. I want you to know what the cost of that would be. That we're not talking $6 million. We're not talking $60 million. We're not even talking $6 billion or $600 billion. To pay that out would cost $6 trillion. What you just heard is your wallet being sucked out through Marxist redistribution of your wealth. $6 trillion. And if an amnesty goes through, Marco amnesty, that's your wealth gone out the door to Mexico. Let me play Jessica Vaughn just one more time from the Center for Immigration Studies.
The idea is
In
that
other words, if you use these individual tax numbers or ITNs, I guess, right?
right. And that, because if you used an ITIN, you're not eligible for the earned income tax credit, but now suddenly you are, so they're going to pay it out to them up to, going back as many as 3 years.
Well, what's to stop you then from saying, wow, I ought to just hop on and get some returns done for the 3 prior years so I can qualify?
It sounds like a good plan, and I'm sure there'll be some tax return preparers getting the word out, and taking their cut of it, through the fees to go back and file these tax returns. So, as usual, follow the money and you'll find out who's going to be promoting it.
A lot of money.
But this really shows that this idea that amnesties are boon to the economy because now people will come out of the shadow so that they can pay taxes is really nonsense. Because what the Treasury has known for years is that most of the people who qualify for these amnesties actually qualify for tax credits, not to pay taxes. So this is potentially going to cost the real taxpayers about billions of dollars for years worth of refunds in this way.
All right, so coming out of the woodwork, not to pay taxes, but to get refunds. Jessica, thank you, I think. Let's go on.
So that was last year, so they must have corrected this. They must have done something to make certain that this country will not have $6 trillion more added onto its national debt, usurping we the people and pasteurizing the treasuries of the banks in Mexico. See? No, they didn't. Lou Dobbs.
Radio Network. IRS Commissioner John Koskinen doing the unexpected, if not unbelievable. This week, he confirmed that illegal immigrants will be eligible to receive potentially billions of dollars in tax credit under the president's amnesty fiat. And the illegal immigrants can collect refunds going back to 2011. Refunds even though they've never paid taxes or filed a return.
There was some apparent lack of clarity in the interpretation of what you said in the Senate. I want to clear this up.
It turns out there was a lack of clarity about that.
So it will be available to everyone who was working, even if they didn't file in the previous 3 years.
That is my understanding, yes.
And you have no idea how much this is going to cost.
I don't know how many people are going to get Social Security numbers, how many will be
So we do this all.
John Koskinen, the one who said that the IRS never lied to the American people, that there was no conspiracy against conservatives getting 501c3s. John Koskinen tells the U.S. Congress on a matter that may cost $6 trillion to our U.S. Treasury, I don't know.
And even if they didn't file in the previous 3 years.
That is my understanding, yes.
And you have no idea how much this is going to cost.
I don't know how many people are going to get Social Security numbers, how many will be...
So we do this all the time. Did the White House not ask you to estimate that?
I haven't talked to the White House about this at all. Well, it's a failure to communicate, that's what it is, and a lack of clarity. Anyone surprised? Government employees watching pornography at work, better look out.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a sincere and true ripoff. So I know that a lot of my download listeners below the border, and I'm not talking about South Carolina, have tuned in tonight because they want to know how they can get their piece of the puzzle. First and foremost, you need to know this, and David North wrote for Center for Immigration Studies, which believes in low immigration, pro-immigrant statuses. The illegal aliens must confess lawless status to get tax refunds. Okay? And I want you to know, poor people, low-income people, hey, I've been talking about small business this week and individuals. I want to help you get your money. What's that guy who H&R Block or whatever? I'm not supposed to say their name or whatever, but shit, rain me some money, baby. We're gonna let it rain. So I want you, the kind, compassionate conservative that I am, a man of the people, a man of the common nature of all men, a man who understands that you, Senor Mexico, also wants to break the same IRS bank that I want to break. And I don't hold a grudge against you for the willy-nilliness of conservatives in the U.S. Congress who refuse to cut off the loophole to you. I want you to take Mr. and Mrs. America's paycheck, and I want you to use it to your benefit. Make certain that your kids back home are able to live in nice housing and safety amongst the gang members and cartels. Because they have some cash flow coming back to them, and the transfer rate in terms of the exchange rate of currency. I mean, $29,000 in pesos. Whoa, you're a millionaire. So I just want to say this to you. Let me help you get your money. Was that what the guy on the H&R Black block? Oh man, let me help you get your money. Your money. And he said, you never paid taxes. You never even worked. And you're qualified to get your money. Your money. That's like going to a brother's card game and sitting there watching everybody play. And then when somebody wins, you reach over on the table to get yours. Something's wrong with that. You get blown away like that. Something's wrong with that picture, brother. That's like you playing dice on the street or whatever, and everybody puts something in, roll or whatever, and then somebody pulls that, reaches down to get their, and you reach over to get yours. Something's wrong with that picture, my brother. From another mother, from even another country. So here are the two things you got to do in tax offices. They can admit in writing that they and their family members are illegal aliens in order to seek to collect income tax refunds. Or they can be silent about it in a couple of different ways and forego collectively billions of dollars worth of these refunds, some legit and some not. And that is through the Obamacare Act as well, that they're eligible for these monies. Illegal aliens are not allowed within the ACA and thus exempt from the fines. So they will. The Affordable Care Act is more affordable for people who illegally enter the country than for you who live here, because they don't have to even have insurance to qualify for ACA. They don't have to have it. They don't have to have coverage. They can go into the emergency room tonight, get served, get care, or whatever. Who takes care of it? Well, the state will. Medicaid will. So when they're filling out their 1095 form to show that they have health insurance, there's an area where they can check off that they are illegal aliens. And thus, because they are here illegally, not subject to the same law as you and I. Woe to the kid who has 4 months of not being insured. They will be penalized up to 2%, $695, up to 2% of their income. But the illegal alien, I'm here. What are you going to do to me? So there you go. Most non-immigrants need not participate in the program and are thus automatically exempt. That's foreign students and guest workers. And some non-immigrants may opt into the program if they choose, but are exempt if they do not want to participate. You getting this right? So literally, you can, if you want, say that you want to belong, but you ain't got it. And we still gonna make it rain. Long term, 5-year plus, legal non-immigrants. Legal non-immigrants? What the heck is a legal non-immigrant? Seem to be in a never land of IRS, if not ACA neglect. Basically, they may opt into the program. Not required to. They may opt into ACA, Affordable Care Act, if they want to. And then lawful permanent residents, those with the green cards, as well as citizens, must participate in the ACA with some stated exceptions that do not always relate to alien status. So if you decided that you were going to do this right, and remember during our last month we talked about the pathway to citizenship. There is a pathway to citizenship in this country, and those who go on stage like Marco Polo and tell you that there is no pathway to citizenship are lying to you. Those are absolute, positively. It's like accusing Ted Cruz of being married to 2 or 3 women. It's a bold-faced lie. Literally, those people who want to do it right get penalized. Citizens of our country, because they're not involved in ACA, get penalized. But you come across the border, whether it be Mexico or Canada, maybe Europe or East Asia, however way you come across the border illegally, you can benefact yourself of all of the great medical care, and you ain't got to participate. You ain't got to pay a dang thing. Income tax refunds. In order to get a refund, 1040-NR filers, which are non-resident filers, will need to answer a question about ACA. And once they answer that question on the 8965 form, virtually they'll get their refund. Period. Were you here illegally? Yes, I was. Are they going to do anything about it? No, they're not. So, guess what you won? A grand prize of the child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, and so on. Now, I do taxes, but I do not do taxes for those with ITINs, individual taxpayers and identification numbers. I do not do them for them. But I'm going to tell you what Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio should work on when they go back to the U.S. Senate. Legislation that would make it clear that if someone checks off that they are an illegal alien, that the immigration and customs should make a visit to that particular property before the refund is sent. I'm just saying. But Ken, people hide in the shadows. They hide in shadows and they get a great deal of wealth behind it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying to you that if you're willing to spend $6 trillion on something, you better darn skippy know that those individuals actually live in our country. I'm just saying. We'll be right back on Sackheads Radio Night with more details. And yes, I am a bigot. We got the first flash. I'm a bigot. Yes, I am. As a black man, I'm telling you right now. As a happenstance that I'm black, I was born this way. I'll never get over it. Unlike the homosexual group, they can switch in and out when they wish to. But unless I either drink a whole lot of milk or bathe in milk, then I become a white person. But I will tell you, I am sincerely bigoted when I believe that an American citizen should be eligible for tax refunds from an American Treasury, and certainly not others. I'm just saying, just saying, just saying. Bigot.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reaver Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, SHRmedia.com.
Swipe.
It's gonna be a right swipe.
This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh.
You stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
She's hot.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
There's most kids don't have a job. You think you're my type, and I'm my type. You're good and it's out of time. Just left swipe, bye-bye. Left swipe.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is my don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag flexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, now the six-pack for day.
Came across the photo with this green-eyed hottie. Hold on, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie just couldn't overlook one fall back.
She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
There's most kids don't have a job. You think you're my type, and I'm my type. You're good and it's out of time. Just left swipe, bye-bye. Left swipe.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really
A
care.
lot of chicks in the pink, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking you from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew. None of you Cinderella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Let's swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Let's swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking at the prom.
Let's swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
Hashtag! I'll never remember you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the Kraken restaurant. And today I'm walking you through some of the meals that we prepared here. So we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage. And we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be here for CPAC. You need to order up, and you need to order up big. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. 20748-301-449-9000. Infuse.com. Did you want to review that? No. Okay, let's see that right there. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Exceptional Conservative. Underground Professor says, lame E.O. Why for art thou lame E.O.? Thank you, sir. Somebody's watching via Ustream besides Mrs. Biggs, who's watching Ustream or live stream. You are in the second half of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Live from Nation's Capital. All these wonderful people in the chat room tonight. Dan the Man Butcher, who is the publisher of High Plains Talk Radio, High Plains Talk Magazine, High Plains Talk Publisher. Everything High Plains Talk. Well, actually, Jan does all the work, but Dan gets the credit. So, great job, Dan. Glad to have you here tonight. Kel Fritzy, who is the most beautiful woman on radio. She produces every show on Blog Talk Radio, except for Steve Harvey's. I don't know why Steve doesn't allow her. Maybe he just wants to be free to make his own decisions. Ralph Chittams will be joining us momentarily. Pastor Shannon Wright's in there. Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy, is in there. But most importantly, Mary Brockman, who is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. There you go. We are bringing up tonight via our radio program.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com.
You are the only participant in the conference.
Okay, well, I'm not going to listen to that. While we await the call-in of the great Ralph J. Chittams, we're going to allow the little girls and boys to do what they do best. The Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. God bless them. Thank God for them. Put your hand on your heart, and that is the pledge.
Parents, ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show. There is so much on the air tonight with us. We're going to release the Kraken in just a few moments, but tomorrow night, the professor and I will be doing our sneak preview of New Day Black and Red for Saturday. We want to invite you to come in. The Saturday play on Conservative Commandos Radio Network is at 5 p.m. But you get the sneak peek sneak peek on tomorrow night, Thursday, 9:10 p.m. The professor joins us. What would we do without the professor? Well, actually, the professor would like me to be quiet so we find out. We'll talk about much tomorrow that's going on. We will also be doing a sneak peek for next Saturday because I will not be doing Conservative Commandos from CPAC. I will be at Civitas Institute down in Cary, North Carolina for the Conservative Conference, Conservative Leadership Conference here. And so I'll be leaving out on Thursday night. I will not have a Thursday night show. You can be at peace. You can be at rest. You can listen to the rewinds, the reverbs, or whatever that plays, whatever they pick. And hopefully they pick the one which I did about Black Lives Matter. Whichever one. It doesn't matter. Do Panthers or something like that. Because black people have to talk about black issues if other people are going to listen to them. So there you go. Just joking. But next Thursday night we will not have a show live. And I will not be on live at CPAC. I will be in North Carolina. All of them will be at CPAC at the Gaylord in PG County. Maryland. Rick Trader, who is our benevolent dictator, the man with the wheels of steel called Conservative Commandos Radio Network, will be live on that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, live from CPAC and Saturday. And I will not be on the air on Friday. So that's the way it's going to work. The sneak peek tomorrow night and also Sunday night. Tomorrow night is for this Saturday at 5 p.m. and Sunday night is for next Saturday at 5 p.m. No show on Thursday of next week. There will be a show tomorrow night. So, with that said and that done, we're going to go back to free phone conference service. They'll tell you that we will talk with the Kraken.
This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com.
There is one other participant in the conference. Please announce yours.
Well, we are announcing that we are live from the nation's capital with none other than the Kraken himself. Yes, Ralph Chittams Senior. Is a senior or junior?
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Just fine. Is a senior or junior, sir?
Senior.
Senior. So there you go.
Senior. I don't want to cause my son any problems.
No, you don't. Good evening, sir. It's a great pleasure to have the Kraken on with us every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good evening, sir. What's going on in your world?
Oh, what's going on? Oh, all kinds of fun stuff.
Are you going to CPAC?
Let's start off with the really fun one.
Okay, before we do that, are you going to CPAC?
No.
Okay. And that's because there are no conservatives there, right?
CPAC is okay. My problem with CPAC is I prefer to go to conferences where there's going to be some substantive discussions being held that are going to drive policy to move the country forward. And unfortunately, my experience, this is just speaking for me and others who especially disagree, CPAC is really red meat for rather conservatives and I'd rather spend my time doing something a little more constructive.
Wow. Now, I don't know which rabid conservatives you're talking about because it has gone a long way away from where it was before. I tell you, it is definitely for the moderate.
Well, it's been a couple of years since I attended, so maybe it's toned down.
Yeah.
A couple of years that I stayed away.
It is certainly a place for the moderate to appear. So there.
So it has changed.
It has changed. It has changed a lot. It has changed. But I'm quite certain that Rand Paul will win the voting this year for presidential election. So you can always count on that. What's going on in your world, sir?
Well, the biggest is people lose their mind over Ben Carson's statement about Wright and allegedly questioning his blackness. That's been a lot of fun twisting whispers in the wind over that statement.
But I thought Barack Obama was right. I thought he was a white man.
Well, because of the damn week. Like Hillary Clinton. It depends on whether she's white or black, depends upon the argument that she's in front of. But why is it okay for Hillary Clinton to sound black, but not okay for a black man with 2 master's degrees to speak the Queen's English and articulate and not dangle participles and all the rest of that stuff and sound white? That's bad. But Hillary Clinton can sound black, and she gets points for that.
Yeah, yes, she does. And let me play that clip for you. I want to play that clip for you because just this week she was
remaining in her home.
Let's just say she was caught.
Hillary Clinton on Saturday said she would champion voting rights from the White House, telling African-American Alabama Democrats Republican state police were a blast from the Jim Crow past. Clinton said Republicans were dismantling the progress made by the civil rights movement and blasted Alabama Governor Robert Bentley for closing driver's licenses offices in 31 counties where most residents are African American. Alabama requires photo identification to vote, but also mocked the Republican presidential candidates Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush for their opposition to Restoring Voting Rights Act provisions, which the U.S. Supreme Court struck down.
Hillary Clinton, that was her in Alabama. But she also kept that fervor up recently, speaking to the fact that Republicans like Ralph Chittams Sr. are going to turn the clock back and take away all of the comforts and the benefits that black people have received as a result of the civil rights movement and getting rid of Jim Crow. Sir, why do you want to turn the clock back? Why do you want us to go back to the plantation?
Well, first things first, I can't go back to someplace I've never been in the first place. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't feel no way,
If anybody needs to turn the clock back, if anybody needs to turn the clock back, she needs to turn the clock back for husband who single-handedly has caused the incarceration of half the black men in America. Now, how about turning the clock back before Bill Clinton's administration?
Most certainly. Most certainly.
I know I don't play fair. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You're supposed to be nice and kind, especially with Bill Cosby having his issues. You're supposed to be really kind and sweet to a person like Bill Clinton. Wanted to also ask.
I'm not. It's a double standard.
It is.
If they're going after Bill Cosby, Bill Clinton should be under jail.
Exactly. And I've spoken to you about this before. I just don't understand why there are no colleges taking back their honorary degrees to Bill Clinton. He did far worse, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, but it's a double standard. He can get away with it, and for whatever reason, but whatever.
It's whatever.
I don't vote for him either.
There you go. Want to talk with you also about Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell said the snowball chance in hell that the Republican Senate would consider a nominee coming from the President of the United States of America. Well, he has propositioned them with a nominee, former Governor Sandoval from Nevada, who is a Republican who doesn't mind abortion. Sir, why don't you all accept the fact that Obama's reaching across the aisle? Why won't you vote for his nominee?
Well, it's not the issue of whether or not they're going to vote for him, and they have got to be the dumbest, smart people I've ever met in my life. Why are you going to publicly announce that you're not even going to hold a hearing on an Obama nominee? You don't have to go and say that publicly. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, you never telegraph a punch. It's just stupid.
Well, do you think...
And honestly, go ahead.
No, do you think it was gentlemanly and scholarly for the president to offer a Republican for this? I mean, come on. I mean, he is showing dexterity. He is showing that he's a man who understands the times and doesn't mind in establishing his legacy from the presidency. I mean, he had 2 female justices added. He would love to add a Republican justice. It's just right, isn't it, to consider putting him on the floor and voting him up or down, right?
The only person showing any flexibility in this right now is Governor Sandoval, who has the nerve to call himself a Republican.
Well, he did register Republican. That's all it requires. Donald Trump figured that one out. So
exactly. You know, you look at his positions on issues. It's Sandoval. If you look up, you know, Wright in the dictionary, it's got to have his biography and his picture.
Yeah. And so there is no real Republican in Sandoval, to be honest. At least not a conservative.
No, but the funny part is about this whole Supreme Court thing. Black Democrats have been hollering and screaming and jumping up and down, demanding that Obama appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court. And then he turns right around and slaps them into the middle of next week and appoints a white male Republican. When he did that, I have to tell you, Ken, I almost broke away laughing.
Well, you got to understand why he did that. I mean, you according to affirmative action, you only have 9 justices. You got 1 black one there already. You've reached quota. You can't go over the quota, can you?
The problem. But he already put 2 women on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So he has to put a man on the Supreme Court simply because if you look at the federal judiciary, there are more men than women in federal judgeships. So he couldn't put 3 women because then he could be accused of being a sexist against men.
So the real war of women is out of the Obama administration right here. He underpays them. And then he doesn't find a black. Well, maybe they can't find a qualified black, female. I mean, that happens all the time.
Obama blocked a black female judge when he was a U.S. senator.
Yes, he did.
Let's not forget that little fact.
Exactly.
But Obama can nominate whomever he wants, and the Senate has the right under the Constitution to not entertain, which is their right, or to investigate and not vote, or to investigate and vote up or down. That's what the Constitution gives the Senate the right to do, and they are doing what the Constitution empowers them to do.
And speaking of the Constitution, because I hear the sycophants and the ignoramuses always purport that because he is a black man, this is the reason why they won't allow him to appoint anyone to the U.S. Supreme Court. But sincerely, advice and consent is a constitutional right of the U.S. Senate. Why don't we ever hear people on the left speak to the fact that they borked Justice Bork, for the very same reason that the Republicans said, hey, forget this. We ain't considering anybody until after January of next year.
Right, and Joe Biden stood on the floor of the Senate and made the exact same statement when there was a Republican president that we shouldn't put anyone on the Supreme Court during the last term of this Republican president. We should wait until the next election. And now that they want to put someone on the Supreme Court, now all of a sudden they want to change the position of the goalpost.
Awesome. Listen. My personal opinion is that they shouldn't have telegraphed it, but more so, since they did, they better go ahead and throw that punch.
Oh yeah.
Don't make
it's like the old adage, don't pull a gun unless you plan on using it.
Exactly. You better use it this time around.
So they pulled the gun. So I don't think they should have telegraphed what they were going to do. I think they should have just gone ahead and handled their business and done it. But since they telegraphed it, okay, you pulled the gun, okay, now you have to use it.
There you go. You're absolutely right. Listen, there is a lot of traffic next week in Washington, D.C. Last weekend was National Governors Association weekend. Coming up is the CPAC. We've heard individuals who have said that they would not appear, and then they would appear, and then they may appear, and that they will appear, and that I'm talking about Marco Rubio, who is former Speaker of the House for the Florida State House, also now U.S. Senator from Florida, who is running as presidential candidate. I want to ask you, sir, since these are the top three, Donald Trump, Senator Ted Cruz, and Senator Rubio, doesn't it just make sense that those three would show up at CPAC and speak without all of the drama?
Well, absolutely. As candidates, they absolutely should show up at CPAC. Absolutely. There's no logical reason for them not to show up if they're running for president and looking for the nomination of and the support of the Republican Party. Every last one of them should show up. Even Kasich and Carson should show up. If they're still in the race, they need to be there.
Now, we're getting news, and I got this from Katrina Pearson. There is a poll that shows that Donald Trump has drawn even with Ted Cruz in Texas at 32%, and virtually there is no one else in the field that comes even close to the two of them. How would you feel about a Trump-Cruz ticket?
Not good.
Not good.
Right now we have three people that they say are going to be the nominee. One of the three is going to be the nominee. Mm-hmm. And of the three of them, there's one I'll never vote for, one that's going to make me sick to my stomach if I have to vote for, and the third one is going to take a bottle of Pepto-Bismol and a nose slip.
Let me see if I can put them. Let me see if I can put them in the right order. Would it be Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and then Marco Rubio? Did I get it right?
I'll let you figure that
out. But really, I want to ask you regarding Ben Carson and Kasich. That after Super Tuesday, March the 1st, should those gentlemen go home? Should they surrender their delegates?
If neither one of them can pull out a win on Super Tuesday, it really does become time for both of them to drop out.
Yeah. So that the consensus would be between three people, rather than all the lore of having five there. Things are beginning to heat up in Washington, D.C. We're talking with none other than Ralph J. Chittams, Senior, who is the D.C. GOP Vice Chairman and a future chairman, I pray, of the GOP in D.C. But that's just my individual prayer. But D.C. is beginning to heat up in terms of crime. I mean, January has been pretty much a lull. February, up until about 2 weeks ago, And then all of a sudden, things began happening. There was a Marine, Chris Marquez, who was attacked outside of a McDonald's by Black Lives Matter activists, and two of them have been found and arrested, and they've been brought up on assault charges as well as robbery charges. The other one is still aloof, away. They haven't found him. And then we have a 16-year-old who pulls out a gun and shoots someone on the Anacostia platform, subway station. I want to ask you, sir, what are your concerns about crime, public safety in D.C.? Is the rest of the world getting the message that we don't care and that this has become the wild, wild west again?
The rest of the world, unfortunately, is going to get the message that D.C. is not the place you need to come to for a vacation or bring your family. And the minute that happens, since D.C.'s economy is built in large part on tourism, we're going in the tank.
Yeah. We saw this in the 1990s. With the crack epidemic.
Right. And right now, our police force is shrinking. Officers are leaving. Officers are retiring. They can't replace them fast enough. We have an idiotic concept in D.C. that we can pay people $9,000 and they won't be criminals. We will pay you to be a good citizen, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And we don't incarcerate people who need to be incarcerated. Unfortunately, there are some people who just need to be locked up.
Yeah. Very well said. Very well said indeed. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. But we're getting a different message. And what's sad is a lot of these people with their liberal tendencies and ideas and preventative policies against prosecution are literally the ones who are holding the bloody hands for much of this incident, much of these incidents happening. Listen, you are a big star now. I'm just glad to get you on Wednesday nights. Why are you such a big star, sir? Tell everyone why you are such a big star.
I have no idea why people want to listen to Little Old Me, if someone were to ask me, why I think now maybe my voice is starting to be heard a little bit more, it's because I'm just going to say what I say and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
And, and people who know the two of us know that you and I don't always agree on every issue.
Exactly.
And we've gone toe-to-toe on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we can disagree without being disagreeable and becoming nasty to each other.
Exactly.
And so that's how I try to carry.
And you normally show up with Roland Martin on BE. Is it still BET or are they becoming more multicultural?
No, it's TV1. TV1. Mm-hmm. I'll be on again this Friday morning. I'm sure we'll be discussing the Republican debate from Thursday night. And I'm sure the first question Roland's going to ask me is, what is wrong with your people?
What is it with that phrase? That really burns me up. What exactly is you people? If I said that to Roland Martin, he would curse me. He would speak against me as if I was a blatant racist and bigot, which I probably am. But
I say it all the time when I'm talking to liberals. They go, "What do you mean by you people?" I mean liberal Democrats. What do you think I mean? I'm a black man. Stop being so sensitive. Come on. Take it down a notch.
Take it down a notch. Relax. So you're on Roland Martin's TV1 show, and that is again on Friday. What time?
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
This Friday at 7 a.m.
Can you put the link in to the chat room so everyone can tune to it? Because I want most of America, at least those who are actually working, before they go to work, to listen to you and watch you on the program, because I'm very proud of you. You remind me a lot of me. Only a conservative can set off a whole group of liberals who are fighting against you on one show.
That really is fun. And honestly, it's only just two black women who are the ones that just completely lose their mind and lose their cool. And to me, it's embarrassing. Because why do you have to act like that?
My mama said if I got loud and I started rolling my neck and rolling my eyes and put my finger up in the air and just tell you all about yourself, then I won the race. No, you look like a fool. We love you, man. We thank you so much for coming on. None other than Ralph Chittams Sr., who is the DC GOP Vice Chairman, who will be on Roland Martin's show this Friday morning at 7 a.m. Y'all are going to be here for CPAC next week. And you all can take a little time out of your schedule, a little time out of your life, and certainly watch one of the great debaters really piss off a whole lot of liberals. That's worth watching. Thank you, sir. It's so great to have Ralph on. And one night I'm going to have Ralph come on and debate me regarding issues that we don't agree on. One would be, I think one of the things that we don't agree on would be the right of the state to use the death penalty. So I want to do that one day so that you all can actually see the conservatives can disagree without being disagreeable. Ladies and gentlemen, without a shadow of a doubt, we're going to take a pause here for the last series of commercials before we explore life with Shannon Wright, who takes center stage this Wednesday night, 10:30 p.m. And after her, Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, Free Socko! 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific. Check out SHR Media Live, and I'm quite certain somebody from there will put the link in so that everyone can go to their site so that they can talk. You know, some people are just not invited.
Right swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh. You stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling. I can't. Oh God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Let's swipe.
Let's swipe.
It must be so kind of you think you're my type, and I'm not type. You're good and it's out of know. I just last swipe, bye-bye. I just last swipe.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe your legs.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe your
Let's
legs.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe your legs. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag flexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, now the six-pack for days.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Hold on, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie just couldn't overlook one fall back.
She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
It must be so kind of you think you're my type, and I'm not type. You're good and it's out of know. I just last swipe, bye-bye. I just last swipe.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe your legs.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe your
Let's
legs.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe your legs. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking off from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew. None of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Let's swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Let's swipe that.
I don't trust your truck race.
Let's swipe that.
Smoking at the prom.
Let's swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe your legs.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe your
Let's
legs.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe your legs. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe your legs.
Yeah.
Patrick! I'll never remember you.
I know you're watching, so pay attention. You hate my freedom, my religion, and my country. You hate me for speaking my mind. You try to control me with violence and intimidation. You think you can muzzle me with fear? Don't ever confuse me for my politicians or my media. I am an American, free-born and free-bred, and I will call you out for who you are. An Islamic extremist who would kill me for my beliefs. You don't intimidate me. My freedom is more powerful than anything you can possibly do, and I will never, never surrender my rights to your terror. I will say what I think, worship according to my beliefs, and raise my children how I see fit, and I defend it all with the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. I cower to no one, because I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I am freedom's safest place.
The First Amendment is outdated. I can't even say that with a straight face. So how the hell can anyone say with a straight face that the Second Amendment is outdated? Someone please explain to me how the idea of protecting oneself ever becomes outdated. Sure, we've progressed as a society and are a lot safer from the threats of wild animals and can simply drive our billion miles to gallon Prius to the nearest Whole Foods and get food to eat without having to stalk game in the wilderness. But nowhere between the time of the Founding Fathers and the time of having Starbucks on every corner has the idea of self-preservation become outdated. You can put on your cloak of progressiveness and self-righteous narcissism all you want. At the end of the day, there still are and always will be two-legged predators in the world ready to violently deprive you of your property and your life. And don't let me get started on the government who so vehemently strives to be the moral compass of our society. What people tend to forget is that government is run by humans. Humans who are inherently flawed. Government isn't some autonomous supernatural being immune from the temptation of power. The Second Amendment was put in place to protect the people from the perfect government run by flawed people. Look, I get it. The Second Amendment was written 200 years ago by guys who wore wigs and in many ways wore tights as pants. But those same two-legged predators and that perfectly flawed government still existed then as it does now. Let's say we do away with the Second Amendment or attempt to update it. What are you going to add? You're going to add universal background checks? You're going to enumerate which guns will be illegal? Add limitations to the ammunition? Now we have our Second Amendment 2.0 and you're feeling all good on the inside, patting yourself on the shoulder as you get robbed by a guy with an AR-15 with a 100-round drum that he bought on the streets. Come on, people. If we want to be really honest, we don't need the Second Amendment to justify the right to bear arms. You think I need a piece of paper to tell me to protect myself with a firearm when someone's trying to kill me? No matter whether that someone is a punk on the street, or yes, I'll say it, a tyrannical government. No matter how technologically advanced we become, or whatever new airy-fairy ideology we decide to embrace for the moment, one thing always remains the same. Self-preservation. Life is all we have. When it's gone, it's gone. The only thing we can do is live as much of it as best we can. And when someone or something threatens that, all that airy-fairy stuff goes out the window. And you do what you can to protect that life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are certainly not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialist. Yours truly on the wheels of steel. Coming up in just a few is the beautiful and the brilliant Pastor Shannon Wright talking about the issues of the day from a Baltimore Charm City experience. But this is what I want to do, because I want to take a few moments here. I didn't get a chance to do it earlier, or at least I didn't take it earlier. There was a young woman that I met a couple years back when I was invited to attend a beauty pageant. The beauty pageant was for female veterans who had overcome much in their lives. And as a result of overcoming much, they were dedicated to raising money to house homeless veterans, female veterans, that is. Well, she came out and she stood on stage and she presented a recitation of a poem that she had written as unto the Lord. And I want you to know that as I looked at her, I looked through her. It wasn't her outward beauty, although she is a very beautiful woman. It wasn't any of that. It was the internal beauty of Christ in her that shone itself to me, and I thought that that young woman needed to be the victor. Well, she wasn't chosen that night, but I was sitting at the table with her mother, and her mother was describing to me her values, her principles, and I described the fact that I have those same values and principles, and that I would love to have her on my radio show, not only as a guest, but I would love to have her come on often as a commentator. Well, she was a bit disappointed that night, so I didn't get a chance to speak with her daughter at least. But I got a phone call 2 weeks later from the young woman who said that my mother relayed the fact that you had spoken to her, and I wanted to speak to you. We held an hour-long conversation, and by faith and encouragement, Liz Loris appeared on my program for the first time a few days later. She would go on to be a commentator on my program, and like many of the people that started on the Exceptional Conservative Show, she went on to host her own radio program. And she co-hosts with Dan Butcher now, often on his own radio program. But unfortunately, Liz Loris, who is, God bless her, a great veteran of the military, a proud fighter in and out of the courts on behalf of those who suffered as she had, suffering from a cancer, an ailment. It hurts me in this particular year, after all I've been through, to know that a good friend, a great commentator, and a woman of God who has a massive ability to speak not only encouragement to the least, the last, and the lost, but to show the light of Jesus Christ to the world. The suffering at this point is fighting for her very life. I want you to do me a great favor, and then we'll go to Pastor Shannon. But would you join me in prayer right now? Lord Jesus, I ask you to do what only you can do. When all else has failed, and when the sight of the future seems bleak, all that we can rely on is your word and your will. I ask you right now, Father God, to restore, if it be thy will, Liz Loris to the fullest of health and prosperity, and that beautiful smile that comes upon her face when she's speaking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of Christ be adorned all of us as once more she appears in public light for radio, television, and anything else that she wants to do with her life. She is a glamorous and most magnificent human being. I ask you, Father God, to touch her and to heal her, to hold her to your bosom, and to make her whole. Restore her body, Father God, her mind, and her strength and soul. And Lord God, I pray that the healing, which is the children's bread, be not for her, or at least her alone, but be the ultimate testimony of how great a God you are. But you are great no matter what I pray. I just ask, Lord God, that you intercede where human hands can no longer. In the matchless name of Jesus Christ, I say amen. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up now, a very vivacious woman who has a great audacity, an audacity to believe.
This is provided by freeconferencecall.com.
There is one other participant in the conference. Please announce yourself.
None other than the beautiful and the vivacious and brilliant Shannon Wright, who's running for Baltimore City Council President. Good evening. It's a great honor and privilege to have you on the air with us tonight.
Well, good evening to you, kind sir, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here.
Thank you.
And I might add, perhaps even the highlight of my day. How about that?
Oh, wow! The highlight! I know you're being facetious. All right, but
I do that.
If anyone doesn't know, I always consider Shannon Wright my little sister, so she can get away with quips that other people can't. So.
Oh, that's only because Francine said it was okay.
That's right. Pastor Shannon, everyone in the chat room is saying hello to you and giving you encouragements and wishing you well. Want to ask you real quick because there are a lot of problems in Baltimore, but it doesn't appear that the economy is the problem. Apparently, the economy is doing well. So, what is it, Miss GOP, are you saying?
I'm sorry. Can you tell me what block the economy is doing well on?
Oh, well, it's
I missed that one.
According to a recent article in the Baltimore Sun, the economy is doing smoothly. It's doing quite well. And I don't understand exactly. But they also say that the bad side of this is that the economy is doing so well in Baltimore that people are leaving and taking their kids out of the public schools. So...
Right. Sure. Okay. The economy is doing so well. That's why our homeless numbers are growing. Our school graduation rate is shrinking. The unemployment rate is rising. And so many other kind of things that really don't kind of substantiate the fact that the economy is doing well. But I digress.
Well, that is the story that we have received from the Baltimore Sun.
And it is a story, and it's one perspective.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, Mayor Stephanie Rollins Blake has said the fact that after years lagging behind the state, our economic growth is being used against the children of the city is a bad thing. For far too many people are still recovering from the Great Recession. We know our schools continue to have needs in excess of the budget we are able to provide. They're talking about a $24 million cut to Baltimore schools. $24 million. Can you tell us why there is a 10% cut in the Baltimore school budget?
I guess because our economy is doing so well, we don't need it. I really don't understand on that one. You know, we've got schools that traditionally can never get to the topics at hand because there's just so much in Baltimore. But when you look at the school and you look at how many buildings where the water faucets are still closed off because there are lead in the pipes and the kids can't drink the water. When you look at so many schools that are closing because the class size being 20% over, best case practices standard is, not enough, and so it's causing us to have budget issues, so we have to close schools. And then, of course, combine middle and elementary schools in one. See, if there was a way to spin it to the delusional point of saying that our economy was doing well, I guess once you overcrowd and house elementary and middle school and close off buildings and do all sorts of things, then you might be able to look at the numbers in a way through hooded eyes and say something like that, I guess.
Yeah, well, according to the story, Thomas Kafkas, who is a research analyst with Good Jobs First, which is a subsidy watchdog group, says that legislative bodies around the country didn't fully think through how tax deals to encourage development would affect aid to local schools. And so what they're saying is that the recent money given to Amazon to site there in the great city, the charmed city of Baltimore, $40 million is negatively impacting the school budget because it's taking away property tax dollars. So I have to ask you in this regard, do you support subsidies to businesses to cite businesses in Baltimore, or do you believe that taxes just need to be dropped low across corporate borders so that all businesses can stay there and thus be able to survive no matter recession or not?
I think that for me to answer that question without something that us receivable for call an audit So that you know what is there would be paramount to telling a bogus lie.
So what are you trying to say? An audit? You know where all the dollars are, don't you?
I wish. They're not translating into, fixing the potholes in the streets or the water pipes in the schools or housing the homeless in something that makes sense.
Wow. So how long has it been since there was an audit in Baltimore? Wow.
Yeah, according to the current city comptroller, there hasn't been one since she's office to trust 20 years.
20 years without an audit, but we already know because of what happened with Amazon, there's a $24 million shortage in the Baltimore schools. None of that seems to be on board, or at least above board. It doesn't seem to fit. So literally, how is it that Stephanie Robbins Blake and the current city council president, Jack what's his name?
You almost put exactly what his name was in that little few other words you were about to say.
But apparently they can tell you that based on the monies that they account for, there's a $24 million. So this is really their fight against businesses and citing into Baltimore, really. They're blaming the businesses for their faulty handling of wealth.
Well, here's the thing. When one of two things happens, certain groups of people seem to lose clear vision. And when I say what those two things are, you'll understand. When you're either not running for office anymore, or you're up for re-election. Things have a different perspective. I did a radio interview this morning, Real Talk Baltimore, and I had some points together that I really wanted to stick to. And then I listened to, as I usually do, the beginning of the show while I was, waiting for my segment. And this is a woman who really has a heart to help the community. Mm-hmm. And she does it based on history. So I threw out the parts that I was going to stick to, because I forgot that too. And we went with the 1 Timothy 5-8 kind of approach. And spoke to leadership, by extension government, should be an effort of love, based on you being in a place to care for the people you are in charge of or in your charge. And somehow, somewhere, that concept got lost. And that's kind of the focus of today, getting people to understand that what they have here, what they allow themselves to have here, isn't how it's supposed to be. The government is supposed to represent the people that elected it. But if I'm a city council person, and I call myself representing you, and I am never in the district, don't know you, you don't know me, how am I representing you? I don't know a thing about you. So one of the things that someone asked me what my wish list would be, things to accomplish and change immediately. The first one, a 3-day in-house retreat for everyone to study the city charter. The second one, for everyone to pull out their calendars, date book, whatever it is that they use, and select 2 dates a month when they will actually be in their district having town hall meetings when it's not an election year. Novel concept.
Yes. Now, because we're going to run out of time, and I want to get this out. I'm going to publicize this so that people can listen, and I hope that your show gets picked up on the networks that hear my program. Wink, wink. For all those Dan, Sean, Rebooting Liberty, just saying. WLB Talk 1010, Baltimore, on Thursday, February 25th. will air your program. That's tomorrow from 12:30 to 1 p.m. It's called Right on Point, Politically Speaking. Tell us how that got started and what you plan on doing with it, and how can people listen all in about 2 minutes.
Thanks for the quick lead time on that one. It's going to be sort of at a decent time, a half hour weekly. We hope to end it, with listener support and sponsorship. We're not Democrats, so we don't have, handouts and grants and things of that nature.
Exactly.
It's going to be a community show to provide a political perspective from the other side, i.e. reality. It is WOLD 1010 AM Baltimore, which is a Radio 1 network. You can find it online. If you go to Facebook, I have shared and put the event out, and I have tagged it, so it's there for everybody to see. The host is a gentleman by the name of Halim. Being that, I'm extended it now, I can't host the show.
Yeah, of course.
But I can be a guest every week, and I will be.
Well played. Well done. And I just want to say, and Dave says, Pastor Shannon, you will master the fine art of the show plug. There you go. But Sackhead Sean has entered our building for kudos this particular evening for Sackhead's Radio Night. Sackhead Sean should pick up your radio show, and he should talk with you about that. But everyone should tune in tomorrow afternoon from 12:30 to 1 p.m. 12:30 to 1 p.m. WOLB Talk 1010 Baltimore. It is right on point, politically speaking. And the powerful thing about that is Radio 1 would not take my show. They said I was a little bit too controversial. So we need to support Shannon Wright as much as we possibly can. Yeah, because, I was going to knock, what's his name, off the map with my listenership. Real numbers. The Right Reverend. I owe taxes. Shannon, we love you. We thank you so much. Every Wednesday night, 10:30, Shannon takes center stage, and we talk about issues regarding urban America and more. And we look forward to you coming back next week.
Thank you. You are a blessing to all of your listeners, and I hope you know that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Shannon. God bless you. We'll talk soon. Shannon Wright. Please vote Shannon Wright. If you don't vote Shannon Wright, Reverend Al Sharpton will come visit you and talk with you about racism. Just saying. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what happens at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. The Corrections Authority release Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint so they can do their radio program. And then they take them back in immediately after because the streets are not safe with them on it. Free Sacco is in San Francisco, California, so I don't know if you'll be there tonight. But I assure you, you're going to have some wonderful, wonderful conversation. The best late night comedy show on radio, television, anywhere, just period. You've been listening to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world, The Exceptional Conservative Show. Tomorrow night, Professor Dr. Michael Jones joins me. You know him better as the Underground Professor. He once told me, Ken, live bravely, never die a coward. I promise you I always will. I want to remind everyone that God has blessed America. It's now time for America to bless God. Stay tuned for SHR, Sackhead's Radio, Sackhead Radio Night. God bless and good night.